So next, I would like to make it so that I have a much larger room. It's going to be hard to tell if my room is scrolling if everything is gray, because if it's gray, how can you tell if you're moving around in the room? So I'm actually going to create a background for this game so I can tell the difference. Backgrounds are a lot like sprites. It's just that it's in a different spot. It's the third menu option down. Or if you use the icon, it looks like this little scenery landscape. So I'm going to create a sky background. So let me load in something that seems appropriate. Yeah, maybe clouds. It's actually a transparent background, but that's fine. So I've loaded in my background here. To actually set it in the room, I need to go back to my room. And notice these tabs up here at the top. We've been mostly messing with objects. Now I'd like to go into backgrounds. So there's a drop-down menu about midway down, which allows you to choose the background you're going to set. So now I have clouds on a gray background, which makes it seem kind of overcast. I think I'd actually like to make this a blue sky. So I'm going to change the color up here. You can click on that, and then select whatever blue color you decide is appropriate for your game. You can also choose custom colors if you don't like this palette up here, and actually choose from the whole rainbow of colors a computer can create. So I want to see what that looks like. All right, good. Now I'm going to make the room larger. Since this plane is facing up, I think I'm going to make a tall, skinny room and then put the plane at the bottom. To change the size of the room, I'm going to go under the Settings tab under the room. So in the Settings tab, you have the name of your room, the width, height, how many steps are in 1 second. So I'm going to change this height value. If you decide to make a left to right scrolling shooter, you're going to change the width. So I'm going to set 2000, I think. So now I've got a much bigger room if I scroll around. So I'm going to switch back to objects and move my plane clear down to the bottom. There we go. So what does this look like when I run it? It looks very squishy. Not exactly what I wanted. So GameMaker, when you have a really big room, it tries to squish it down so it fits on the screen. That's not exactly what I'd like. What I'd like is only to show as much of the screen as around this particular plane. That's where the view comes in. So under the Views tab of the room, I need to set up a view. So a view is basically a smaller window which looks at a part of the room. To make this all work, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click this top checkbox, Enable the Use of Views, make it visible when the room starts, and now I would like to make sure that it's following this plane object. So down at the bottom it says which object you're following. Well, that's going to be my plane. So if I run this, notice that I see a much smaller part of the room and it scrolls with me. Now if I go off the left or right side, the room doesn't go that way. It only goes up and down. So I'm still going to go off the left and right edges. That's all right. And also, if I continue going up, eventually I'm going to reach the top of the room and go off the top as well. So it only shows you what's within a room. Now, it doesn't scroll until I'm pretty close to the edge. I think I want this a little more centered, so there's another setting I need to change. At the bottom, where object following is, there's this H-bore and V-bore. Those are the borders that it tries to keep around your plane. What I'd like to do is make it so that I have a lot more space around my plane. This is how many pixels it tries to keep around you. Since I'm going up and down, I'd like to have a much larger vertical border. So I'm going to try maybe 200. And that'll try and keep 200 pixels around my plane. There we go. So notice it scrolls a lot sooner. By the way, there are a couple things you might accidentally do. If I don't turn on this visible when the room starts, then I get a screen that is this big, very tiny. And that's just because the view isn't actually being shown right now. So you have to make sure that this is visible when the room starts. Also notice that I'm on view 0. It's actually possible to make multiple views. for this game, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so views, that's kind of cool. I think I want to create some sort of projectile now that this plane here is going to fire. In order for that to work, I'm going to need a sprite and an object for it. So I'm going to create a new sprite for my bullet. I'm going to create a separate one for me and a different one for the enemies, because I don't want my bullet to destroy myself, and I don't want the enemy bullets to destroy each other. So I'm going to make sure I have two separate ones. Once again, to do something from the strip, I'm going to do Edit Sprite, and under the File menu, Create from Strip. So if I go grab, let's see, maybe that one. Sure, that one right there. Once again, I want to get rid of the blue background. Images, erase a color, blue's going to go away. Beautiful. Now I need to create an object that goes with that. My bullet object, it has that sprite. All right. For now, that's all I want to do. Eventually, I'll have collisions with the enemy here, but I'm going to start with that. So my plane, how does he fire in a bullet? For me, I'm going to use the space bar. You have an option here now. If you want to do rapid fire, you can use a keyboard event. That'll continually fire as long as the space bar is down. If you want it to be, you have to press the space bar multiple times, then you would do a key press. I'm going to do that for now. So I'm going to make sure that I create a bullet when I press the space bar. Main one is where the creation events happen. So I'm going to use the center one, which is a moving one. So I'm going to create a my bullet. The place I'm going to create it, I want to create it where my plane is. I could say self.x here. It turns out that if you just say x, it assumes you mean self. So I can actually just say x and y here. Or self.x and self.y. It means exactly the same thing. The speed, 10. Why not? Direction, that's going to be 90 degrees. Because 0 is right, 90 is up, left is 180, down is 270. All right. What happens? Awesome! Except that it's firing out of my wing. That's kind of annoying. I'd like it to actually fire out of the nose of my plane. There's a couple ways I could do that. I could actually add something here, do something like x plus 12 or something like that, and that'll actually move it 12 pixels to the right of wherever my plane's x position is. So as he moves around, it always fires from there. And you could actually figure out exactly where you want that. I think I'm going to change the centers of my sprites to make this work. So I'm going to center my bullet and put it so that the center of my plane is actually on the nose of the plane, so that when I create the bullet, it actually is at the center. So if I center both the bullet and the plane, there we go. Beautiful.